Actually, when you asked me to pick a topic, I've been thinking a lot, like what topic I should take that's kind of helpful for students, especially when we talk about BBA program. So first, there's 4 years are kind of, I can say, keystone, because I think that's actually when we studied and we did our BBA. So first, maybe 2-3 years, they were the most important because students got their first jobs. And actually, I've talked to some of the classmates who I studied with, and I understood that 90% of students in the first and second and third year in our university, and I think it's very common in other universities as well, they get their first job. And the first kind of an obstacle appears to be actually a job interview. And, you know, we are kind of very connected and dependent on our backgrounds. And actually, what I wanted to tell you about and actually discuss. So you're very welcome, you know, to ask different questions, and we can have a discussion about this topic. I will not take too much of your time, about like 30-40 minutes, I think. So if you want to say something, just like say, we'll talk about that. So, and actually, you know, what I've thought about, that's the fact that we are really dependent on our culture, and we are really dependent on our background as formality. So most of the job interviews for the last about like 30 years, they were very similar, even I can say identical to the job interviews we had before. What I'm saying is it's just, you know, like Soviet Union times and like this formality in getting a job. So no proper HR management in the companies. So it created the image of job interviews as something like too serious and too formal. And one of the biggest mistakes that most of the applicants usually make, especially when we talk about students like your age and like people who trying to get their first job, especially when we're talking about some professions like in management industry, when we talk about some professions in IT and so forth and so forth, yeah, something like that. In many cases, like companies and HR managers and people who are interviewing us, they do not, you know, want to see like us being unreal. So that's why now, like, more and more common becomes to be kind of informal way of conducting job interviews. I have many friends who've got like pretty big businesses. Me either as well. I had a business when I was studying at the university, and I remember that it was like one of the first obstacles is to find like people. You know, like actually, if you talk about problems of the business, so actually the supply and demand that is taught at university as one of the most important factors isn't like so important if we compare it to people. So definitely people are more important than anything else for the company. So business without people, in most cases, like impossible. The same as like business without money is almost impossible. And why I'm saying you that, so we interviewed like a lot of people, like, I don't know, I think really dozens of people. And I attended dozens of job interviews. I will tell about like experience if you want a little bit later. And the main thing was that people really took it too serious. And when people come to an interview, usually they try to show themselves actually who they aren't. And that's kind of a big problem, because nowadays we have a lot of young entrepreneurs and we have a lot of young HRs, and they don't expect you to come, you know, wearing a suit with a tie, you know, being so formal and speaking so like formally, especially when we are talking about pretty simple positions, especially when we talk about junior level management or like any other profession, just junior level. Of course, when we talk about senior level, it's first of all, usually people, they are like a little bit older. So usually it's like 30 plus. But when we talk about junior and middle levels, in 99%, these are youngsters. And people who actually conduct the interview, they're also young. And actually here I want to give you one of the examples. It was like one of my first official jobs I got. I was, I think it was the second year of the university, so BBA program. And I decided to, just for fun, because at that moment I started a GOGS project. It was the company that worked with the goods like sports equipment, sport clothes, etc. So I was kind of an intermediary. So I was ordering with my own prints in China. At that moment, it was like pretty common, pretty popular. It was like 2015, 2016, I think. And it wasn't like, everywhere. So it was kind of cool to do that. And you could like have pretty high margin for that business. And it appeared to be that it didn't take too much time. So for example, during the day, I could get, all the orders. So I didn't even have like a website. So I was using different marketplaces. Like now we have Rosetka, Prom, like, so all different marketplaces, so where I placed my products, and then like in the evening, so I could just go to Nova Poshta or Ukroposhta and send all of the things to customers. So and then when we grew a little bit bigger, so then like assistants did the same, and so I had a lot of free time. And being like young students, so of course you want to try yourself. And it's kind of like a mental factor, I would say, like go through an interview. It's 100% first comes to your mental, ability to go through something you think is difficult. Definitely, it's kind of, you feel stressed, definitely. And I wanted, just for my personal experience to go to a couple of interviews to just have this skill. Definitely going through the interviews easily. So it's kind of the skill, 100%. You can be like an amazing candidate, but if you don't know like how to go through the interview properly, so you will fail 100%. It's just because like lack of confidence, but part of like good, good interview attendant, let's call it this way. And I went to like the first, second, third, fourth, and like then fifth, and I think on the sixth interview, just I understood that I'm interested in the company. So it was connected to management as well, and I love the location and love that I have like 3 or 4 days free. So actually I need to work about like, I think 3 or 4 days. Yeah. So even I had more days off than actually my working days. So I could easily combine both works. And like, I mean, the business GeoGeos and the company where I worked as a manager. And the funny thing was that I had this, pattern in my head that if you go on an interview, you have to be like serious, formal. So I don't know, certain clothes style, certain topics to discuss. And you know what actually they did? Because HR was pretty young. I think she was about like in her 20s, definitely. And the question she was asking, they were connected mostly not about, like education, your future, what are you expecting from the profession, like this basic usual question that you can Google, and like you can Google like top 20 questions for job interview, and you write like the profession you're going to apply for. And like she started speaking to me in the manner of like hobbies, in the manner of teamwork. So it's kind of nowadays HRs are taught that way, so they can ask, for example, the question about like what sports did you like doing when you were, for example, a child. And if, for example, you say that you like some, I don't know, individual sports, I don't know, let it be like weightlifting, like maybe athletics or something like that, but it may show that you are like not so good like working as a like team member, or vice versa. If you say that you love playing, I don't know, basketball or volleyball, so it shows that you can be a good team player. And if a job requires like good team skills, so working as a team member well, so actually it's it could be kind of a good representation indicator that you're a good candidate for the position. And actually, there are lots of them. So that's why IHRs are taught. So IHR isn't just like a person who, for example, had worked in a company for a couple of years, so understand the profession very well, and then like boom, and the company decides to give a promotion. The person becomes an HR manager and hires different other people. In most cases now, this industry grew up to very, very high level. Definitely, and definitely in the university, you will be studying the subjects connected to HR. I think even there are like a couple of subjects like these. And I think many of you will be interested in that because very interesting profession. It's not like it was before, just, you have the list of, questions that you should ask. And then, try to rate like the answers. So and get like if the person is okay or not okay. So it's kind of like more responsibilities in the manner even of recruitment and selecting. We are not talking about training and so on and so forth, about other IHR's responsibilities. So what I'm saying is that first of all, of course, it depends on the company. So it depends on its company's culture, because there are still kind of archaic companies that exist even in our country, and they have this old vision of conducting interviews, and like you may have that image if you, for example, I don't know, wear some casual outfit, but they do really require some smart outfit. But again, more and more modern companies appear in the markets, and one more thing that it changed a lot. I mean, if we talk about higher level managers, CEOs, CTOs, and high position manager in the company, and also like founders of the companies, they became way younger than it was even like 20, 15 years ago. So if, for example, we take like 30 years ago, you can ask your parents, grandparents, ask like what was the average age of a person who would recruit, for example, other people. So, or like what would be the age of a person like from the top management of the company. So more likely your parents and grandparents would say, so they're about like 45 plus. So because it was exactly the age of experience, like about 20 years of work in a company. So it will give you, an opportunity, a perspective to get to the level where you can become kind of in charge of certain departments, or like a company or a factory or anything else in a whole. And it changed completely, as you see. So there are lots of people who are in their 20s, and they are in charge of like big companies, businesses. And the further we go, so the younger entrepreneurs become. And it's kind of cool, because this connection between employee who comes, for example, just even like without finishing the university, just like with college education, or like unfinished bachelor degree. So this person can have like pretty similar like interests, connection, like understanding of what, for example, employer wants when we are talking about like responsibilities, etc., because the values are pretty the same. So we can't say that they are identical, but at least they're similar. So, and we need to take it into account, because if, for example, your HR manager, for example, wears, let it be, I don't know, flip-flops, I don't know, t-shirts and shorts, and you come to an interview like wearing a suit with a tie, like so smart. So in most cases, it's kind of like strange. At least it looks strange, and of course you will have kind of a barrier, between each other. So the first thing that I can like give you as I can't say that it's like a help, or just take it, remember, and maybe one day you use it. So analyze the company before. So first of all, you should know like who will be interviewing you. So it's easy to find like in the internet, usually like all of the company, they have Insta pages, Facebook pages, and you can find like for example an HR of the company. You can use also social media called LinkedIn, where you can find the position of different people. So it may help you as well, because if you see that, for example, an HR of the company is 25 years old, and you see that there are like photos like in shorts and like some t-shirt and flip-flops. So definitely it's a bad idea to wear, you know, some of the smart clothes. Of course, I'm not saying that it's like world has changed a lot, and we don't have any space, you know, for being like smart in the meaning of clothes. No, not at all. So there's still lots of companies. Believe me or not, we still have this public companies. We still have government institutions. By the way, a little bit of that experience. Also, like during my BBA program, as I was like kind of connected to sport all my life, I can say that from, oh my gosh, I think about from the age of 10 up to 18, I was competing in different sports. I did like arm wrestling, arm lifting, wrestling, calisthenics, like many sports. So I was pretty sporty person. So I organized different events, and it was always an interesting, you know, to get like to the level when like you don't organize it on your money, or you ask like different business people, but just you use public money, and you like to see and organize something global. And at that moment, I think it was also like 2015 or something, or 2016. It was just before GeoGS, or like while GeoGS was like on the way to be created. I contacted Kiev Sport and Youth Department of Sport. It's kind of, it's not an organization, it's like department that I can't say it's like owned by KMDA or Ministry of Sport. So it's kind of, you know, level down from Ministry of Sport, let's say like that. So it's like main organization in Kiev that organizes different sport events and something for you. So targets audiences from 18 to 35 years old. And as actually I didn't really want to make money in it or anything like that. I was interested in experience at that moment, and I was interested in network, because, you know, in any industries now, network worth more than just money that you can make by just working in the lowest positions anywhere. And I contacted the secretary of the head of the department. By the way, this guy now is Minister of Sports of Ukraine, Vadim Gutsait. So at that moment, he was the head of Kiev Youth Department. That's I'm like trying to show that even when we talk about very formal, you know, organizations, when we talk about like very, you know, kind of high level institutions where usually everything should be formal. So it appears that it's not very formal as well. Sometimes it depends on the person again. So I called the secretary, said that I want to have like a meeting with him, and, you know, it was informal from very near meaning of the word. So I just came, you know, we spoke a little bit about sport career that I had. He, by the way, was an Olympic champion. And we had lots of topics in common to speak about. And actually, I got there like as an intern, so I worked there for about, I don't remember, maybe for half a year or something. We organized a couple of interesting events together with this, and that's what I'm trying to say. So depends on the person, but not even on the company. Some companies, they require, you know, certain way of conducting things. Conducting events, conducting job interviews, conducting surveys in the company, and so on and so forth. Also, I wanted, yeah, I see that we've talked for 20 minutes, so 10 more minutes for me, then we'll have like Q&A time, I think. I have really good friends. We work sometimes together with them. They have a factory, so they make e-liquids for vaping, etc. So their company is one of the biggest in our country. And these guys, they're really young. They're really young, so they're in their 20s, and they have pretty successful business. And they do not require, you know, having kind of formal conversations in a company, so they don't require formal suits or anything else. So more important is, you know, just the speed. So the speed of the action of, for example, solving different problems and tasks they give to their employees, and it's kind of in the top of, you know, these values. Interesting fact for you as well. So I think you've heard about pyramid of Maslow and other like so-called value indicating theories. And you can see actually very interesting coincidence in that. So the older the person or people are, or is, if we talk about person, the older the company is, the older is the history of the company, the more like biases this company may have. So different events that became a tradition, for example, in 21st century may sound like stupid. The more different levels and stages to make a decision there can be. So the more, the bureaucratic things exist in a company. So it actually comes from like how old are the company? So how old are the employees there? I'm not saying that it's like bad or good. So all of them are working. So we have lots of successful companies with a history of hundreds of years. But the problem is that most of these companies, they are based not in our country, because in reality, money in our country and wealth of each and every individual is very young. So like country and people started making money in reality about like 30 years ago only. So all the fortunes that people, oligarchs, rich people, owners of companies have, so this money, it actually was like made about like 25, 30 years ago maximum. So we don't have like old money. If we talk about United States or Europe, it's completely different. So the term of like young and old money appeared there like way earlier than that. So that's why we have this dynasties and generations of for example, like great grandparents started a company, then grandfather run it, then like father, then the son, then the person, then the son of this person, etc., etc., etc. And exactly this like lapse of time creates so-called like customs and traditions in the company that also affect like bureaucracy in the company as well, because young companies are usually just on the way of having certain pattern under what they are going to work in the future. So, and while it's like in the process, definitely it's faster and easier to make decisions. It's faster and easier, to get the communication so straight, for example, to an owner, because owner, first of all, is young, so hasn't got a crown on his or her head. So still like easy to communicate. And nowadays you will see that most of the people, like, again, so one of good examples. So nowadays, almost all people who work in offices, they work in open space. So you will see a lot of, CEOs or CTOs or like other higher position managers who are like just working in the same room, like with other people in an open space, or like sometimes it can be just like glass walls for like additional privacy, but again, all people can see. So it kind of like breaks, this lack of connection between employer and employee, and break this level of bureaucracy. So you don't have to go, for example, to like team lead should go to head of department should go to an assistant of CEO, and only then your task can be solved by the CEO. In reality, now it's faster. So because you are connected in one office and it's open. And again, so it's kind of because these companies are usually very, very young. Of course, what I'm saying is more connected to like executive part of the company. We also have like stakeholders, shareholders, so people like investors, etc. But in reality, to make decisions, similar to what our topic is today about job interview, for example, to ask more questions about the company, etc. Again, connected to this HR, human resource management. So now there aren't so many limitations to communicate straight to other employees, to people like higher level in the management ladder, to communicate straight to a CEO. But as the company that I told you about, So they all of this, like my good friends who we are working with, so they also have kind of an open space. So all employees, don't matter. So are you just a secretary, or I don't know, junior manager, or I don't know, just a freelancer who comes to an office like once a week, so you can communicate to a CEO if you have any questions, like easily. Again, so first of all, it's because it's these people aren't like too experienced, as we said, because the culture of the company can't be built during, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, even 10 years. So it's kind of a very long-term structure that should be built and developed and evolved for really many years. So even if you Google, so strange or like weird traditions of top companies in the world, you will find lots of like interesting ways of recruiting or selecting people. It can be, for example, connected to like, I'm not talking about discrimination. It's more about just, a mere culture of the company. For example, they expect you to know, I don't know, at least like 3 languages, even if like in a company they never use like for example French and Spanish, they always use English. But see, it's kind of like the status of a company, and it sounds like weird. So why should you know like 2 more languages? But somehow from I don't know, centuries before, like generations before, so it became kind of like a status keystone factor for employees of the company, that employees should know like at least like 3 languages. Similar can be to an outfit. So some of the companies, especially when we're talking about to old money, old companies, so they may require it as well. And there are lots of this like weird thing that they also like ask you to Google. You will find like many weird things that all companies give and still provide to their colleagues and their employees. And the last thing I wanted to tell you is connected to like the stages of job interview, and like personal recommendation that I think may help you once. If you've never been to any of the interviews, or you think that it's the best time, like when you graduate and get the diploma, so at that moment you go to a company and you show diploma and they say, oh, like you're welcome, so you can start working. So unfortunately not. Definitely the faster you go, like first, second year, I don't know like what year you're in that right now, so but the faster you go there, the better it is for you, 100%. Because definitely when there is a person like with experience and a diploma at the age of, for example, 20, and whereas just the person at the age of 20 with diploma, definitely like a clever employer would pick the person with experience and a diploma. The next thing is definitely easier for you mentally to go through, this no replies when you're younger. And you can look at this through the perspective of a game. So how many, this like win-win, win-lose, lose-lose. So how many win-win may you have during, for example, a week or a month? So it's kind of a good challenge to challenge yourself, or challenge like with your friends to understand like, are you a good communicator at some points? And of course, first jobs, first professions, they will actually show you like, do you really love what you're doing, or it's kind of just bias in your head that was created somehow by parents, friends, community, society, etc. And you don't really want to work in the industry. There's like, I want to finish my speech here with the phrase that Warren Buffett once said. I think Warren Buffett is like one of the most successful investors of all times, and he's the founder of Berkshire investment company, and he said this thing. So try to imagine that you have like unlimited amount of money, or the money needed not to think of money at all, and try to think like, what would you do if you have such amount of money? I don't know, $100 million, for example, or $1 billion. So at the moment when you don't need to answer yourself that I would invest this money in real estate. So the exact amount of money that you don't need to think about money at all. And so you don't need to invest anywhere, or like just you have it in the bank account right now. So what would you do with this money? And what would you do just as a profession. So would you just like hang out and like travel like for the next like 70 years of your lives? Definitely not. So all of us have kind of the profession they were, you know, born for, and it's kind of their passion. And usually it's, you know, during different stages in life, it stopped first like by parents, then by friends, etc. Because it's like, it's not for, you know, like some kids decide to start like drumming and parents say it's like, but so go and like learn how to play, I don't know, piano. Or some kids want to do, I don't know, wrestling, but parents said to them to learn the languages, etc. So, and because of that, it's kind of hard to answer this question. And actually, that's what I will ask you to do when you have free time. So actually, now it's kind of Q&A time. If you want, you can ask me any questions you want. If not, thank you for your attention.
Okay, Viacheslav, thank you very much. We are so proud of you. Dear students, do you have any question for Viacheslav? Just Maria, you're welcome. Maria.
So hi, you talked about the bureaucracy thing in Ukraine, and I was wondering if, do you think we could ever go out of this circle? Like all the companies in Ukraine have some sort of this bureaucracy thing. Do you think we should just from the beginning start looking for a job abroad? Or is this a possibility then that this bureaucracy thing would, I don't know, disappear and we would find a good job in Ukraine without it? You know,
actually, I can say that bureaucracy level in Ukraine isn't like too bad if we compare it to European countries. I think now almost all of us have like relatives and friends who move to foreign countries, and believe me or not, it's like way harder. Of course, we have, as I said, so we have some of the companies that have this like long history, and this bureaucracy was created, you know, like not like within a year or two. And like, I can't, you know, like tell you like, is it a good decision to look for a job in here in Ukraine, or it's better to pick a job abroad? Definitely depends on an industry. So, you know, there are like many industries that we are really good at. So of course, now we are in a war period, and that's hard to say that even like our like strengths, agribusiness. So even here, so now we have lots of problems that we have to tackle in order to come back to the figures that were earned at the moments before the war started. So if we talk about just bureaucratic part of the question, so it's kind of a question. So difficult to say that you may find like the country with a lower bureaucratic level if we talk about like Europe, for example. So as I said, the older the country is, the older, you know, like wealth of each of the companies. So the more this inner bureaucratical things inside the company, inside this culture exist. So that's kind of the question. So we also have like lots of old companies in Ukraine, so with long history. So somehow like even before Soviet Union, they were created, then they were, you know, not privatized. So government took it. So then again, people found and like bought this company again. So it was again privatized. And so it's kind of like with long history. So we still have it. So some of these cultures and bureaucracy, they appear artificially. So just people who start the company, they have certain like vision in their minds, and they think, okay, so I love like having all these little things. So to lead the person who comes to a job like through like 7, I don't know, different challenges to get the job, etc. So it depends, definitely. So that depends on the industry, 100%. Depends on you know, the level in the company you're seeking to get. For example, again, as we are talking about junior level management, and we can talk about middle level management, or we can talk about senior level management. So in each of the stages, so it's a little bit difficult. For me personally, I believe in Ukraine 100%. That's what I say. So I see a really nice future of Ukraine. But first of all, what we should do is obviously to finish the war. So to win the war. So to be correct in here. So after that, 100% will be better. But as you see, still businesses are working. So that's the first thing that I want you to pay attention at. So you should see that still companies are trying, like by increasing the prices, so trying to like maximize the margin from selling what they're selling. So like they are looking for different options how they can take credits with like lower interest rate. So definitely like the businesses are working. So if you want like to have a shortcut, maybe definitely it's easier to find a job in a foreign country remotely or offline, whatever it is. So if you want for a long run, it's like kind of with an investment. So for example, for now you can like buy different things, like different estate in Ukraine, like with a really good discount, especially in the beginning of war. So some of the like offices that were sold like 3 times cheaper than they actually cost right now. So it's kind of with the human factor, the same with investment factor. So you can invest in something that costs now like very little, but it's highly risky. But in the end, like get good profit, or vice versa. So you can invest in something highly risked, but like lose everything. So again, depends on like, are you ready to risk or not? And are you actually satisfied by getting the profession, like in a place where you get it? So remember like the phrase by Warren Buffett that I said. Have I answered your question? Is it okay?
Okay, I got it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Any question else? Okay, Ilya.
Yes, thank you. I want to ask you that you said it will be better if we will start going interviews earlier, and maybe you can tell us from your own experience how to hit 2 rabbits by 1 stone, because study and working at the same time, it's not possible maybe at the on the first year in our situation.
Actually, I can say that when we came to the university, as you understand, like I went through the same path that you're going through now. But at that moment, our university was called Wisconsin University, so now it's Concordia. So, but overall, so not so big difference. So we had pretty similar schedule. So sometimes we could have like 3 classes a day, so that like start at 9, then finish like at 3, then like 3 hours break, and then like from 6 to 9 we had like some more classes, and we studied only offline, so that was like kind of more difficult. Yeah, definitely. And like what I'm trying to say, that about 70% of the students like who I studied with, they started doing at least something on the first year. So we were kind of like very motivated, and we understood that like just going to work after like getting a piece of paper called like diploma. So sorry for saying that, but in reality, it's like what you hold in your hands. And that, of course, you have like knowledge in your head, etc. But in reality, when you come to HR manager, to an employer, so definitely they see a piece of paper. They can't like actually see your knowledge. So definitely when you come and you say that, or it's shown that you have, for example, 2 or 3 years of experience, so it's kind of more valuable. So what I can say, so what actually we did, the 70% of first year of the students when I studied. So of course, like about half of them, they just left the university in the end of the first year, because it was like pretty hard to study and lots of people failed, etc. So, but out of like this good mass of pretty clever students, so 70% started seeking for a job. Of course, our like grades went down. That's like obviously, but again, imagine like you coming to a class, let it be, for example, I know you have, or you will have marketing class, and you discuss the topic with your teacher, not based on the case studies he or she like gives you during the class, but you're discussing the real topic, the real case from your own business, that like not maybe your own business, but where you're working. Believe me, you will have like unbelievably sized respect from a teacher, first of all. Secondly, for you, it will be more interesting to study, because you will see kind of like the angles through what you are looking at the subjects. If you open the list of the subject you have in the university, you will see that most of them, like 99% of them, are applicable. So you can apply them in life. So it's management, marketing, critical management. What else you have? Accounting and HR management, etc. So they're very applicable. So if you learn it just as, you know, like theory, the same as like now we would read or like I would tell you something about, I don't know, physics or I don't know, space traveling, etc. So it's kind of a theory that, first of all, you will never remember like further than your midterm or final exam. Secondly, if you don't apply it, so definitely just this knowledge, you know, like disappears. So it's kind of the first thing. Of course, you may lose the points from your final score, for example, get not like 95% in the end, but for example, 65 or 70. But believe me, if teacher really sees that you get, you're interested in a topic and you look at through the perspective of your business and you like prove that it's working like that in the company where you were like working. So first of all, you will remember more things and it will be more beneficial for you as a student. And secondly, it will be like better for you as a future like employee of the company, somewhere big. Second thing about how to combine. So still you have, if we talk about just job interviews and we are not talking about getting a job. So we are talking just as a skill job interview. So you have winter holidays, if I'm not mistaken, it's more than 30 days. You have summer holidays. So during that time, easily you can go and try like to try yourself. Usually, even if you like get a job and you sign the document, the contract, so and you understand, oh, like I have like to study and like I don't have time. You know, like in Ukraine, thanks God for now, and it was so before. So it's not so big problem, you know, to leave a job. So usually you just come to an HR. So you look at your agreement. Usually it's like to tell the HR, so not earlier than 14 days that you're leaving. So you say you finish this 14 days if you understand that you cannot combine like a job with studying. Believe me, it's like better to try that and like fail for some time than like retake the course or retake midterm or something. Then like in the end of 4 years, you come to your university, for example, and say, oh, like you promised me that I would get like a good job, but I actually didn't. And they would tell you like, are you serious? Like, did you try anything? And you say, no, I was just studying, you know, I got like all like A's. And they say, but you're like 21 or 22 years old. And there are like people who are hungry for achievements. They are like 17 or 18 years old and they're seeking the same vacancy, and definitely employer would take them because it's first of all cheaper for an employer, you know, to pay them less. Secondly, these people, they are hungry and they are ready to work more than the person with a diploma. Yeah. So believe me, it's very interesting process. Just try to enjoy it. Again, coming back to the phrase from Warren Buffett, if you find like your passion, definitely you will enjoy every little piece, starting from a job interview, finishing even with, you know, like leaving a job and saying goodbye to your current employer. So it's kind of like enjoyment like in every stage, because it's an experience. Yeah, I think I answered your question, or?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any more questions? Yeah, please, Nazari.
First of all, thank you one more time for your speech. And I want to ask you about a first job. And I think that first job for every person, it's a very specific time. It's like first relations of first New Year with your friends. And it's like a line when you should pass to move to your future life. And a lot of people in my age not even really know where they should find their first job. For example, to go on such places like hackathons to show yourself, for example, for future employees, or just make looking through the sites with jobs or something like this. And a lot of people just stay in one place because they don't really know where they can find a good vacation, a good place for their future. So
I will tell you even more. Sorry for interruption, but it's very important. About 70% of employees in the United States, they are unsatisfied with their jobs. So while they are working, they're seeking for a new job. So it's kind of like norm. Imagine like what is the percent in post-Soviet Union countries and like in Ukraine. So I think this number is even higher. So definitely that's a good question. So sorry for interruption. Maybe you should finish, or I can.
Yeah, I can add that I'm completely agree with you that a lot of person just shouldn't to stay at one place when they already have a work. They should make resumes for another jobs just to move forward, and don't stop at one place. So yeah, can you tell us some places where we can find a job?
Actually, my first job, maybe it's interesting for you too, will be my first job was a farmer. I worked at a farm, in an ostrich farm. I was at that moment maybe 14 years old, and it was like first official job because in Ukraine, so from the age of 14, you can officially work like part-time. Of course, it wasn't like my dream job, but at least it was like something where I really wanted to try. So like I love animals, and for me it was kind of cool, to be with them. So if we talk about the place to find a job, nowadays it's super easy. We have again this Работа UA, Work UA, etc. So just LinkedIn website. So if you just create your profile and show that you're open for any vacancies, etc. So it's really amazing. If we talk about really hard one, so definitely you should go like straight. So you find a vacancy that you like in one of the websites, you go like the first interview, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth interview, you go through all of them, and you feel that okay, this one I like, this one I don't like, this one I like, this one I don't like. Of course it takes time, but again, so now you have time. So for example, you are not responsible for any people, like for example, when you are married, you're responsible for your wife, or wife is responsible for husband, like when you have kids, and so on and so forth. So when you're young, so you're not responsible for anything else. So definitely your parents will not leave you like without food or without any shelter. So you in 90% like people can like feel okay, to try. So like just you use these websites. If we talk about finding like a new and like not to stop, it's kind of, first of all, it's about your mental health. If we talk about like psychological part of this factor, so it's about your mental health, because if you're a self-confident person, you understand, okay, I leave this job, nothing will happen. So I have still my skills. I'm still like myself. So I was like before leaving the job, and I'm still the same person now. So it's not a problem for me to continue making money. So it's like about your self-esteem and self-confidence, 100%. So, and better to start training it at your age. Definitely when you're way older, and you will be even like more and more scared of leaving the job that you, for example, hate, but you're not ready, to do that. So better to do it at that moment. If you talk about profession, you never know. Now, unfortunately, I even had also similar speech with some of the students about, like finding like the proper profession that really they would enjoy, they would love, and they would feel passionate every single day. First thing that I can say, even if the job you love very much and it's kind of your hobby, etc., when it becomes a routine, it's a routine, and from time to time you will start to hate it, or you will feel neutral about it. It's normal, it's okay, just life. So any hobbies that become a profession, that become a routine, so they become, neutral for you in the best case, and that's okay. You shouldn't be scared if you came to job, and like first week you felt, motivated, inspired, and you were ready, to break the mountains, etc. But later you feel that you just, you don't want to go to an office. So that's more than fine. That's okay. So that's the time to leave. It's not like, struggle, try to look from another angle. No, exactly at that time. So we are limited with the time. So you should pick one you like. So by picking, and really you should be honest with yourself. As I said, like Warren Buffett gave this good phrase, really, imagine that usually people go to job because of the money, or because they want something from that. So you should ask, for example, you should get rid of this factor of money and ask yourself, what would you do if you had like unlimited amount of money? So you don't need to invest, etc. So what would you do? I remember like when I asked this question to myself, it was about 5 years ago. It was the moment when I left this company. I told you when I worked as a manager, I was super tired. I was fed up with that profession, and I asked myself the same question. And I said, I would just, drive my, Lamborghini or something. I would just teach something. I don't know, like, what would I teach? But I would go to school, like regular school, not private, anything else. So I would just come and I would teach people and I would speak to students. It's kind of like a hobby. I love speaking. I like, have conversations with clever people. So, and I thought, okay, so what's, the closest profession to that? So it's a teacher. So, and, I couldn't even imagine like how would it be. So now it's like a pretty good project of English Pro. And, at that moment, I didn't know like what will be. Maybe like after 1-2 years, so something else will come. So look at like most of the successful people. So they jump from a project to project. So, and the only thing that unites all of them, that they are moving somewhere. So just try to be honest with yourself, first of all, and don't be scared to try. And by the way, when you are scared of doing something, usually it means that you're really growing, and it's exactly the thing you should pick. And also one must think you're the first year students. Now you have lots of temptations. I think now because it's war and online education, not so many, but again, all these parties, etc. You should understand like what's more valuable for you, like partying all the time, for example, and waste this 4 years, or like build certain, basement that you will use as a good, basement for your further, career, like after you graduate. Because just imagine like you and your classmates. So you who, for example, in the end of the university have like 3 years of experience in the company, maybe even you got like one stage higher in this career ladder, and your classmate who, for example, just was partying, like had a nice time, etc. So, and both of you come to the same like an HR, but like imagine like what position you will get and what position will your friend get. So just, I think it would like motivate you. But again, enjoy your life. It's also cool.
Yeah, thank you. I understand what you talk us about.
Yeah, very welcome. I see one more person, Elizabeth. Yeah, please, you're welcome.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, it is like a stereotype that without a diploma, nobody will take the person like for the job. I understand that nowadays it's it is a stereotype, so it's not true. But is it really easy to find the job for a student, or is like in what case?
It actually depends. Also there is kind of similar stereotype that people with average grade like C, like 60 to 70% when we talk about BBA or like school, for example, or high school, they are more successful than people who are like A-star, for example. But in reality, it's again bias, and it's again a stereotype. So it depends what you spend your time on. So if, for example, you don't study, let's say in university or in college, but you're studying something else. So in YouTube, you try yourself, I don't know, you read lots of books, and so you develop in some of the industry. So by the way, these guys who I said they're in very top of vaping industry in Ukraine, my good friends and colleagues. So out of 4 owners, I think only 2 have higher education. So, but they understand like chemistry, so that's the main subject needed for it. So more than I think graduate of any of a university that provided like chemistry education. So it really depends. In reality, I would personally say, and I would personally recommend like studying at the university 100%, because you can look at different problems through certain angle. As I said, for example, it's way more interesting. For me, for example, university was super interesting, especially this first 4 years, because we could communicate with teachers, not like, just listener as a student and teachers like communicator, you just listen, then you write this, but we could discuss the real problems of the business of the company you're working in, just to make your life easier. For example, there are lots of, things created for us already. And things got so most of the teachers, for example, in our university, they went through similar paths as well. So they have certain like business experience and so on and so forth. So, and they can, save a little time for you. It's said that the most valuable in the business, so it's like how quick you get like one thing to another. So for example, you're buying something in China and like how fast you get it here to sell it to someone else, the quality of it, and of course it's like how much time you can save like overall for making any of the operations, not only like transactions, etc. So, and this is one of the things you can like minimize personally for you. For example, the money you can spend, for example, every your step in the business. So it's kind of an investment. So, and you will like lose money. So you should have at least like win, lose, win, instead of like lose, and then like only win. So first of all, you will think that, oh my gosh, so maybe I'm wrong. So business isn't mine, or like this profession isn't mine. So it's kind of like, try to look at every subject through the perspective how it can help you with your professions that you're interested in, or I don't know, even just like the best idea. Just each of you, I think, have an idea like to make your own business or to work in an industry. Create just like imaginative like plan what you will be doing, and look at every topic you are discussing in the class through this perspective. For example, the topic for example, for your management classes, connected like what to do if like COVID started, and you don't know like actually how to continue working. So like the problem of 2019. So again, it can be like in the future, who knows? So, and look at at the subject through the perspective that you're an employer, so you have this business, and like what teacher says, like how it's possible to solve this problem. So what decisions to make, so not to minimize, I don't know, not to fire people, etc. So first of all, it will be more interesting for you because it seems like a game. So you give your idea, a teacher gives idea to you, and you start like discussing. You will be able to come to certain like golden center in it. So I think that definitely diploma is important, but again, diploma can be like as important as like useless. So depends on like how you use it. So again, don't forget, so there can be like two people absolutely the same, like who you may finish the university like in 4 years with the same diplomas, but one will be using like knowledge, try to go like to different interviews, etc. So it was like 3 years of experience, for example, and the second just was the diploma. So both of those people can say that diploma was helpful and diploma was useful. So yeah, something like that. But at least as you're asking this question, so I think everything will be right. Everything will be good. At least if you started asking these questions at that stage, so that's good. It will be very bad if you started asking these questions while doing MBA, for example. When you're asking this question at this level, so it's more than fine, more than fine. So I think that's it. If no more questions. Thank you very much for listening. Yeah. Oh, I see one more question. Misha, yeah, please.
Yeah, it's some kind of a personal question, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
What three things would you advise to an 18-year-old version of yourself?
10-year-old?
18.
Oh. Right.
18.
18-year-old. Oh my God! Like, I would advise myself to start learning how to play the guitar, because now I really don't have time for that. I'm a big rock fan, so I love rock music very much, and I'm such a rock fan who doesn't listen to who cannot play any musical instrument. So, and actually, the older you become, so the less free time you have. So if something you can, like kind of investment in your future as an entertainment you can do now, so better do it at the moment when you're 18. So yeah, 100%. It's not a job really. I would just sign up for a course to learn how to play the guitar, because now I'm trying, but I never have enough time for that. But I will do it for sure. I will do that for sure. My wife promised me that she would just pay for a membership for a year and I will have no choice. afterwards. So yeah, just spend more time for traveling and spend more time for, you know, hobbies, definitely, because at that time you have more of a time for that. 100%.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, Zlata, please.
Hello, it's nice to meet you. You already gave advice to your young version of yourself in 18 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And now I'm curious about if you had opportunity to give advice to young students of Concordia or whatever else. It not depends on our beautiful university, but what advice would you give them to build a bright future and become an entrepreneur, or to hold a big business with partners? What would you say them so they will how to say, be more motivated and know how to achieve their goals in the future?
You know, it again depends on the values. So first of all, I will ask you to answer the question that I said before. Kind of, what would you do if you had unlimited amount of money? It's like the first one. Believe me, it will take a lot of time to think, and yeah, it's not as easy as it seems to be. And the second one is definitely create like values that, you know, usually the values that we have, they are kind of sociable values, so they're all like people get. So you really need to understand like what's valuable and what you personally as a human being really want from life. Because for some people, like the process of making money is like more important than anything else. So, and that's why just I would ask, like, try to concentrate on really what you like and even what you love doing. It will be like the best what you can do. If we talk about like skills, so don't be scared. You know, like when I was coming to different like job interviews, like at your age, even younger, so I was like super scared, you know, like me, like 17 years old, I think, coming to like current like minister of sport at the moment, just personally like shaking hands and start speaking, it was like super nervous. I don't know, like coming to deputies for asking for sponsoring different sport events that I organized in competition at the age of 15 or 16. The first street workout competition I organized, I was 14 years old. Believe me or not, I was super scared and frightened to come to these people because they looked at me and they said like, are you serious? You're like 14, you said that we should give you like money for medals, diplomas, etc. Like, how can we rely on you? You're just a teenager. So the thing that I really like can say, so first of all, do what you really like. I understand what can possibly help you with that. So don't like do lots of steps, you know, like there it's called like planting seeds, you know, don't plant seeds like to every industry, every field. So actually invest in what you like. Invest at that moment, invest your time in what you like, and definitely don't be scared of these little things. Believe or not, no one cares. So at that age, you think that other people care about you, how you look, like what you wear. I don't know what car you're driving. Are you going to the university by bus or taxi? In reality, no one cares. So and it just takes time. So it creates like a wrong image, and in reality, it doesn't like make any sense. So my personal advice to all the students: so don't be scared of making like steps forward, especially when it's connected to your career. Even you think, okay, I want to start a business, but I will start a business only when I'm like 25, because at that moment I will be confident. Not at all. Like, as I said, like in our university, so this students who I studied with, so two of the guys I met about a week ago, so they started a business when they started on this, I think, second year of the university. I started GOG, this like selling sport wear and sports equipment, I think in the end of the first year. And all of us were like scared. We didn't know like what can be, like will they like send us the what we bought like in this China in Guangzhou, or we will not get it. So of course we were scared, but in the end of the day, it's kind of the experience that's nice to share, and it like builds you as a personality, it's kind of like your skeleton, not physical, but your entrepreneur skeleton for the future, because exactly at that moment you're building this. So then you can just grow muscles on it, like nice skin, and become kind of like a full, like good entrepreneur, because without this first step, very difficult. Even if you understand, like your parents or some other relatives have lots of money and you will inherit them, and then you will start doing something. In reality, without this, first difficult step that we are all frightened of doing, almost like very hard, mentally very hard to go or to for example, a job interview when you're like 25 and you see people who are like 17 or 18 years old, very difficult mentally. So try to be faster than others.